We've been hearing the word boundaries used a lot lately, and we thought we'd take a minute just to talk about what we mean when we use the term boundaries. So what do you mean when you use the term boundaries?
The word boundary for me is really just communicating your expectations to people that you're in a relationship with. So it's a way to protect yourself while also keeping healthy relationship with others. The important thing for me is that we communicate those expectations to people. And this doesn't mean that we're shutting anybody out or keeping anybody out. We're deciding on what we want for ourselves using our values. Would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I like that. I also tend to agree that boundaries for me is an expression of expectations. I like the phrase boundaries, not barriers. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes culturally we have a misconception that when we use the term boundaries, it only means how we keep people out of our lives. Mm-hmm. At times you may want to build a wall around your life with certain kinds of people who take your energy, who are, we like the term toxic, and you may need stronger boundaries with those people. But there may be circumstances where you communicate with a loved one or a family member certain expectations that are more like a small gate that you come in and out of. But for me, it's about communication.
Sure, yeah. I think that sums it up pretty nicely.
So I'm wondering, can you think of an example, though, that might be helpful?
Sure. So maybe somebody at work is emailing you or calling you at inappropriate hours, or maybe it's even just too much. An example of a healthy boundary there would just be to communicate, hey, I appreciate working with you. This is when I'm going to spend my time on it. I'm not going to spend my time on it in my personal hours. Or maybe you have your mother-in-law telling you how to parent. It might be helpful to say, I love how you're in my kids' lives. We really appreciate you being around. I don't need you to give me advice, or I would like you to not give me advice anymore. And if you do, we'll be spending less time. That might be an option to add at the end. You don't necessarily have to threaten somebody.
I like the communication part, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Often I have people show up in session who complain about people in their lives pushing past their boundaries, but haven't taken the time to communicate what those boundaries are. So if you find yourself with resentment building up towards somebody, that they're violating a boundary that you might have, I would ask you, have you communicated that clearly to them?
Yeah, and that's when you would have the follow-up of, here's what happens next if you keep pushing my boundaries.
Right.
We'll be spending less time with you, or we're going to be limiting contact, whatever it may be.
So boundaries aren't about pushing people out of our lives. They're about clear communication about what we need, protecting our energy, but also making space for people in our lives.
Yeah.